The thriller genre lends itself exceptionally well to stories involving journalism, and some of the best thrillers in history have something to do with the Fourth Estate. The genre has evolved in the last 5 decades to become its own distinct entity outside of action and horror. Thrillers can sometimes feature elements of those aforementioned genres, but never too much. Considering how important journalism is to the shaping of modern history, it only makes sense that the profession frequently appears in thriller films. Major historical events are often intricately linked with the journalism profession, and political intrigue is a key element in thrillers. This opens the door for compelling cinematic stories, whether they are fictional or real. Filmmakers have used journalism as a backdrop for many heady themes, and the thrillers in question are typically richer than their counterparts in style and substance. What's most amazing about journalism thrillers is the sheer variety within the niche subgenre. No two films are exactly alike, which can't be said for most movies that could be classified as thrillers. State of Play, 2009. State of Play was specifically designed to pay homage to the gritty political thrillers of the 1970s, but instead of Watergate, it modernized its approach for the aughts. After the aide of a congressman is murdered, a journalist uncovers a massive conspiracy behind the killing. Beneath its contemporary commentary is a twist-filled thriller that can be enjoyed in a vacuum. A strong performance from Russell Crowe is the heart of the movie's success, and the script is a streamlined affair that never gets too confusing or difficult to follow. State of Play was a critical success, but its box office was disappointing. It has largely faded into the background of late-aught cinema, but deserves more attention for its prescience. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, 2011. Stieg Larsson's Millennium Trilogy revolutionized thrillers in print, and David Fincher's film version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo did justice to his twisted novel. A former finance journalist is hired to solve a long-cold murder mystery, and he teams with a strange woman to crack the case. Journalism is only tangentially related, but it plays an important part. Made with Fincher's distinct visuals and methodical storytelling, The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is pensive and slow. However, it still manages to be thrilling with a rich story that features multiple layers. Without being too overt, the film implies a lot more than it shows, which challenges the viewer to engage with ideas that might make them uncomfortable. Nightcrawler, 2014. In most journalism thrillers, the Fourth Estate is held sacred, but Nightcrawler pokes holes in the infallibility of the profession. A desperate man finds a new career shooting video of gruesome crime scenes, and goes to greater lengths to get the footage. Dripping in neo-noir excellence, Nightcrawler borders on horror at times, which is appropriate considering its subject. The movie is so distinct from other journalism because of its cynicism. The subgenre thrives on a measure of optimism about the power of journalism to change the world, but Nightcrawler throws that out the window. In the social media age, the gritty thriller is untouched in its ability to summarize sweeping issues with society without being too overt. Shattered Glass, 2003. Though it bombed, Shattered Glass deserves a spot among the great modern journalism thrillers. Based on a true story, the film concerns a popular young journalist who is outed for fabricating the sources of his biggest stories. Journalism thrillers are rarely about the inner workings of the profession, and Shattered Glass is all about the ethics of reporting. Hayden Christensen gives the performance of his career, and the movie clips along with the pace of a startling thriller despite its low stakes. Instead of international conspiracies or political intrigue, Shattered Glass takes aim at journalism itself. However, it still manages to be poignant by subtly hinting at the disintegration of truth in the political climate of the aughts. Absence of Malice, 1981. Though overlooked, Absence of Malice is one of the great underrated thrillers of the 80s. A naive young reporter is tricked into running a story about a man accused of a crime, and she must confront the power of journalism to influence legal proceedings. Digging into the granular details of both law and journalism, Absence of Malice is complex and thoughtful. While it lacks overt action or pulse-pounding chills like other thrillers, Absence of Malice is no less gripping. This is because of the amazing performances of Sally Field and Paul Newman, who bring humanity to the detailed story. It's an excellent legal thriller as well, so Absence of Malice checks a lot of boxes. Network, 1976. The rise of TV journalism revolutionized the profession, but it also opened the door for a series of complex challenges. Network satirizes TV news and tells the story of an aging anchor whose unscripted rant inspires the channel to try bolder programming. The Best Picture Oscar nominee is now remembered as one of the defining films of the 70s. Network is undoubtedly a thriller, but it also falls under the category of black comedy as well. In an era of earnest thrillers that responded directly to corruption in journalism and government, Network pokes fun at the insanity of the entire affair. Even after 50 years, Network's predictions haven't stopped coming true. Zodiac, 2007. Examining the story of a decades-old cold case presents a series of narrative challenges, but Zodiac deciphered the perfect structure. At the height of the Zodiac killer's reign of terror, journalists and police officers try desperately to solve the case. By splitting the focus between law enforcement and reporters, Zodiac covers the full spectrum of the mystery. Arguably the best serial killer movie ever made, Zodiac never goes too far in reaching conclusions about the unsolved case. Instead, it focuses on the paranoia and abject horror of a city gripped in fear, and how obsession can drive someone to ruin their lives. Almost a horror movie at points, Zodiac is one of the scariest journalism thrillers. The Parallax View, 1974. Journalism was at the height of its power in the middle of the 1970s thanks to the Watergate scandal, and the Parallax View represented the cinematic reaction to such turbulent times. An ambitious reporter investigates the assassination of a leading political candidate, and it leads him back to a powerful corporation that pulls political strings. Almost Hitchcock-esque in its pacing, The Parallax View is a thriller in every sense of the word. It features violent intrigue and political commentary, and journalism is front and center in the story. Though there were plenty of political thrillers in the 70s, the straightforward approach of The Parallax View makes it unrivaled in its accessibility. The Post, 2017. When The Post arrived in 2017, journalism thrillers weren't in vogue, so it got ahead of the burgeoning trend. It tells the real story of Katharine Graham, the first female publisher of the Washington Post who worked tirelessly to expose the infamous Pentagon Papers. The box office smash is as much a character drama as it is a journalism thriller. Though the film doesn't